Gaslighting. One of the most insidious and devastating forms of emotional manipulation. This tactic involves a manipulator deliberately causing the victim to doubt their own reality, memories, and perceptions. Gaslighting entails doubt within oneself, one's memory, and even personality. The manipulator forces the victim to obey his instructions. Mechanisms of gaslighting. Denial of reality. Involves statements, "that never happened," or "you're remembering it wrong." Second, distortion of facts, to confuse the victim. Third, undermining confidence in their own thoughts and feelings. Fourth, isolation from friends, family who might validate the victim's experiences. Compassion and sympathy. They may feign these symptoms to gain the victim's trust. Triangulation occurs when a dispute arises between two individuals, and a third party is influence of one side. A manipulator uses tactics to ensure their perspective prevails in the argument. This tactic eventually leads them to cease questioning altogether. Practical examples. Personal relationships. Involve a friend to take sides in a dispute. Workplace dynamics. Might complain to the manager that paints the colleague in a negative light. Projection. Involves attributing emotions, traits onto another person. Projection serves as a psychological shield, displaces their emotions, traits, wishes, forms. The manipulator blames others for their own mistakes. Inverted accusations. The manipulator accuses of behaviors that he are guilty of. Confusion and self-doubt, feelings and behaviors. The controlling your life tactic to exert dominance over victims' lives. This tactic involves autonomy, decision abilities, sense of self. Manipulators start by subtly influencing the victim's choices, often under the guise of concern, may offer unsolicited advice. Over time, these seemingly benign actions can escalate and manipulator gradually asserting more control. In more extreme cases, manipulators use to control, threats, intimidation, emotion blackmail, name-calling. The negative side manipulator often labels the victims. The purpose, to make the victim believe they are less than and worthy of better treatment. Tactic delves into the use of derogatory language and labels by manipulators to assert dominance, and also operates on several levels, each aimed at exerting control, emotions, and behavior. By attaching negative labels to the victim, stupid, worthless, and incompetent. Moreover, name-calling serves as a tool for manipulation by creating a dynamic of power imbalance. Generalization, and also operates on several levels, each aimed at exerting control, emotions, and behavior. Example: all men are inherently untrustworthy in relationships. The manipulator aims to coerce the victim into conforming to behaviors for facilitating control. One aspect of this tactic involves the manipulation of group identities, a sense of unity among their supporters while demonizing perceived adversaries. Another facet of this tactic involves the manipulation of individual identities and manifests itself in the distribution of people into predetermined roles, limiting their autonomy and freedom of action, moving the goalposts. This manipulation tactic involves altering the parameters of a situation unexpectedly to hinder the other person's progress. It might entail introducing new conditions for success midway or emphasizing previously undisclosed obstacles. This strategy to perpetuate a dynamic where the victim continually seeks their validation, keeping them in a perpetual cycle of approval seeking, and delves into the deliberate shifting of standards, expectations, or conditions during the course of an interaction, negotiation, or relationship. Is a manipulation tactic aimed at perpetuating a sense of instability, frustration, and dependency in the victim. Love bombing. This tactic entails overwhelming someone with affection, intense emotions, and an abundance of time and attention. Manipulators deploy love bombing as a tactic to rapidly establish intimacy and trust. The manipulator monopolizes the victim's time and attention from friends, family, colleagues, and other life spheres. They strategically target individuals who may have low self-esteem, unresolved emotional issues, or a history of trauma. Changing the subject. Manipulator swiftly redirects the conversation to thwart any confidence boost. This tactic operates on various psychological levels, aiming to control the narrative and maintain dominance over the interaction. He may leverage their authority, charisma, or persuasive to assert control of dialogue that serves his goal, playing on insecurities. At the heart of this tactic lies the manipulation of shame, an internalized sense of inadequacy. Since shame is a deeply uncomfortable emotion, individuals instinctively seek to avoid this. This tactic operates on a psychological level, leveraging the victim's emotional weaknesses to manipulate their thoughts, emotions, and actions. They use various tactics to achieve this, such as subtle criticism, comparison to others, or outright attacks on the victim's self-esteem. The silent treatment. Manipulators employ this strategy to sever communication and connection as a means of punishment. Tactic operates on psychological and emotional levels, inflicting harm by withholding communication or acknowledgement. The victim leaving feeling isolated, invalidated, and powerless, treating you like a child. Tactic by deliberately portraying their victim as younger or less competent. Such behavior might include condescending speech, less intelligent, unnecessarily taking control. Tactic involves deliberately patronizing, infantilizing someone to assert dominance, using guilt trips. A manipulator employs guilt trips to manipulate the victim's emotions, typically by implying that their actions will cause the distress. For example, they might say, "If you go out with your friends tonight, I'll be left feeling lonely and miserable." As a manipulation tactic involves feelings of guilt or shame in the victim to influence their behavior, decisions, or emotions.